Hello everyone. Tonight our story takes us to a quiet valley, where the first light of dawn has not yet touched the mountains. We are here to witness a craft as old as memory itself, the creation of a single sheet of paper. But what if one sheet of paper held the weight of a promise, a secret whispered only to the river and the sky? As this journey begins, if you wish to share this calm with others, a gentle press of the like button is all that is needed. To continue these explorations, feel free to subscribe. There is no bell to ring, only peace to be found. Let us know in the comments where you are listening from, and what time it is in your corner of the world. It is wonderful to know we are all sharing this moment together. The world is still asleep. A deep blue silence hangs over the valley. The stars, once bright and sharp, have begun to fade. They are like tiny embers cooling in the vast, dark fireplace of the night sky. One by one, they surrender to the coming morning. In a small house made of wood and packed earth, a man named An Shi is also beginning to stir. His awakening is not sudden. It is a slow, gentle process, like a leaf unfurling. There is no alarm, no sharp sound to pull him from his dreams. He is awakened by an internal clock, a rhythm set by countless mornings just like this one. The air in his small room is cool and still. It carries the faint scent of dried herbs and wood smoke from the night before. An Shi lies on his sleeping mat, his eyes still closed. He listens to the profound quiet that exists just before the world begins its day. He can hear the soft, even rhythm of his own breathing, in and out, a steady, peaceful sound. Outside, beyond his paper window, he can just make out the distant murmur of the river. It is a sound that has been with him his entire life, a constant, gentle song. He does not rush to move. This moment of transition between the world of dreams and the world of wakefulness is a precious one. It is a time for quiet thought, for feeling the world come alive around him. He feels the rough texture of his blanket, the coolness of the wooden pillow beneath his head. Slowly, he opens his eyes. The room is still dark, but not completely. A soft, grey light filters through the thin paper covering his window. It is enough to see the familiar shapes of his home. The low table, the clay pots in the corner, the simple wooden chest that holds his few belongings. Everything is in its place. Everything is as it should be. This order, this simplicity, brings a sense of deep peace. His life is like this room. It is simple, it is orderly, and it is focused on a single purpose. That purpose is paper. An Shi swings his legs over the side of the mat. His bare feet touch the smooth, cool wood of the floor. He stands up slowly, stretching his arms towards the low ceiling. He feels the muscles in his back and shoulders awaken. These are the muscles that will work today and tomorrow and the day after. He walks to the window and gently pushes it open. The air that flows in is fresh and clean. It smells of damp earth, of pine needles, and of the river. He takes a deep breath, filling his lungs. It is the breath of a new day, a day of possibility, a day of work. He looks out at the valley. The tops of the mountains are just beginning to catch the first hint of pink and orange from the sun, which is still hidden below the horizon. The rest of the valley is a sea of soft, grey mist. It fills the spaces between the trees, making the world look soft and dreamlike. His small workshop stands nearby, a dark shape against the mist. It is more than a building to him. It is a sanctuary. It is the place where bamboo is transformed. It is the place where he continues the work of his father and his father before him. He turns from the window and moves to a large clay basin in the corner of his room. He dips a wooden ladle into the cool water and pours it over his face and hands. The water is cold, and it washes away the last traces of sleep. He feels alert now, ready for the day. He dresses simply. A pair of dark, loose-fitting trousers. A simple tunic tied at the waist with a cloth belt. His clothes are worn and comfortable. They are the clothes of a craftsman, made for movement and for work. They do not restrict him. They are a part of him. He moves into the main room of his small house. Here, a simple stove sits cold. He does not light it yet. His first meal will come later, after the first tasks of the day are done. For now, he drinks only water. He fills a small clay cup and drinks slowly, savoring the clean, pure taste. The world outside is beginning to change. The grey light is becoming brighter, softer. The birds are beginning to sing their first tentative songs. A single call, then another, until a chorus begins to build in the trees around his home. An Shi listens to their song. It is another part of his morning ritual. The birds do not sing for him, of course. They sing for the morning itself. But he feels a connection to them, a sense of shared purpose. They are greeting the day, and so is he. He walks to the door of his house and slides it open. The sounds and smells of the morning wash over him. The world is waking up, and he is a part of it. He feels a quiet sense of belonging. He is not separate from the valley, from the river, from the trees. He is a part of the whole. He steps outside onto the packed earth in front of his home. The ground is cool and damp beneath his bare feet. He looks towards the east, where the sky is now a beautiful canvas of soft colors. The day is beginning. The work is waiting. He feels no sense of rush, no anxieties. There is a rhythm to his work, a pace that has been established over generations. It is a slow, deliberate pace. It is a pace that respects the materials. It is a pace that respects the process. Today, he will make paper. He will take the strong, green bamboo and transform it into something soft, white, and delicate. It is a kind of magic, a transformation that never ceases to fill him with a sense of wonder. And today, he will try again to make the perfect sheet, the one sheet that he has been striving for, the one sheet that holds a special meaning, a silent promise he made long ago. This thought gives his work a deeper purpose, a quiet intensity. He turns and walks towards his workshop. The path is well-worn, softened by the passage of his own feet thousands of times. Each step is familiar, comfortable. He is not just walking to a place of work, he is walking towards a part of himself. The day has truly begun. The path to the bamboo grove is narrow and winding. It leads away from An Shi's small home and workshop, climbing gently up the side of the valley. The mist is thicker here, swirling around his ankles as he walks. It is like walking through a silent, white cloud. The air is cool and carries the scent of the forest floor, the smell of damp leaves, rich earth, and the unique, clean fragrance of the bamboo itself. An Shi breathes it in deeply. It is a scent that grounds him, that connects him to this place. He carries a single tool with him, a heavy, sharp-bladed knife with a long wooden handle. The blade is dark and worn, but the edge is perfectly honed. It is a tool that has served his family for generations. He can feel the smoothness of the handle, worn down by the hands of his father and grandfather. As he walks, the sounds of his home fade away. The world becomes quieter, more focused. The only sounds are the soft padding of his own feet on the earth and the gentle rustle of his clothes. The bird song is more intense here, echoing through the tall, straight stalks of bamboo that are now beginning to surround him. He has entered the grove. It is like stepping into a different world. The light here is dim and green. The tall bamboo stalks grow so closely together that they form a living ceiling high above his head. The sunlight that filters through is dappled and soft, painting shifting patterns on the ground. The bamboo stalks are like pillars in a vast green temple. They are straight and strong, reaching for the sky. Some are young and slender, a vibrant green. Others are older, thicker, their color a more muted yellow-green. And she knows them all. He has watched this grove grow and change his entire life. He does not simply walk into the grove and begin to cut. He first takes a moment to stand in silence. He closes his eyes and listens. He listens to the unique language of the grove, the whisper of the leaves as the morning breeze passes through them, the gentle creaking of the stalks as they sway. This is a place of life, of immense energy. He feels it around him. The bamboo grows quickly, powerfully. It is a symbol of strength and flexibility. To make good paper, you must understand the spirit of the bamboo. You must approach it with respect. An Shi opens his eyes and begins to walk deeper into the grove. He moves slowly, his eyes scanning the stalks. He is not looking for just any bamboo. He is looking for the right bamboo. He is looking for stalks that are the right age, usually around 1 year old. Younger bamboo is too soft, its fibers not yet strong enough. Older bamboo is too tough, too woody. The fibers have become hard and resistant. The perfect bamboo for papermaking is in that middle stage. Strong, but still full of life and flexibility. He runs his hand over the smooth, cool surface of a stalk. He can feel the subtle ridges, the nodes that mark its growth. He looks at its color, the way the light reflects off its skin. He is reading the story of the bamboo, learning its age and its health. He walks past many stalks. He is in no hurry. The selection of the material is the first and most important step. A mistake here cannot be corrected later. The quality of the paper is born in this moment, in this choice. He finds a cluster of stalks that look promising. They are a healthy, deep green. They are thick enough, but not too thick. He places his hand on one and feels its solidness. He looks up, following its line all the way to the top, where its leaves whisper in the breeze. This one, he decides. This one is ready. He takes his position, his feet planted firmly on the soft earth. He grips the long handle of his knife with both hands. The tool feels like an extension of his own arms. It is perfectly balanced. He takes a deep breath, and then with a single, smooth, powerful motion, he swings the knife. The blade cuts cleanly through the base of the bamboo stalk. The sound is sharp and resonant, a percussive note in the quiet of the grove. The tall stalk shivers for a moment, then begins a slow, graceful fall. It does not crash to the ground. It is caught by the surrounding stalks, which cushion its descent. It comes to rest, leaning against its neighbors, waiting. And she does not pause. He moves to the next stalk he has chosen. Again, the same careful positioning, the same deep breath, the same clean, powerful cut. Another stalk falls, resting against the others. He repeats this process again and again. His movements are fluid and efficient. There is no wasted energy. It is a dance he has practiced thousands of times. Each swing of the knife is precise. He is not fighting the bamboo. He is working with it, releasing it from the earth. He works his way through the small section of the grove he has chosen for today's harvest. He is careful not to take too much from one area. He understands the need for balance. The grove must be allowed to replenish itself. He is a caretaker, not just a harvester. After he has cut a dozen stalks, he stops. This is enough for today. This will make a good batch of paper. He leans his knife against a nearby stalk and begins the next part of the process. He takes the first fallen stalk and lays it on the ground. With a few skilled cuts, he removes the upper leafy branches. These will be left behind to return to the earth and nourish the grove. He is interested only in the main trunk, the culm, where the best fibers are found. He then cuts the long stalk into shorter, more manageable lengths. Each piece is about the length of his arm. This makes them easier to carry and easier to work with in the next stages. The knife works smoothly, cutting through the hollow sections of the bamboo with a satisfying crunch. He stacks the cut lengths neatly on the ground. The pile grows steadily. The fresh, green scent of the cut bamboo is strong in the air. It is a clean, almost sweet smell. It is the smell of raw potential. As he works, the sun continues to rise. The light filtering through the canopy becomes brighter, changing from a soft green to a warmer yellow. The mist has started to burn away, revealing the deep blue of the sky high above the leaves. The work is physical, but it is not strenuous for him. His body is accustomed to it. The rhythm of cutting and stacking is meditative. His mind is focused entirely on the task at hand. There are no other thoughts, no worries, no distractions. There is only the bamboo, the knife, and the quiet of the grove. Once all the stalks have been cut into sections, he gathers them into a large bundle. He ties them together with a length of rope made from twisted bamboo fibers. He lifts the bundle onto his shoulder. It is heavy, but the weight is familiar and balanced. He retrieves his knife, securing it in his belt. He takes one last look around the grove. He sees the spaces where the stalks he cut once stood. Soon, new shoots will rise to take their place. The cycle will continue. He turns and begins the walk back down the path. The journey down is easier, helped by gravity. The bundle of bamboo on his shoulder shifts and trebles with each step, its own quiet rhythm. He emerges from the grove into the full light of the morning. The valley is now bathed in a warm, golden glow. The mists have vanished completely, except for a few wisps clinging to the river. The world feels fresh and new. He walks back towards his workshop, the green bundle of bamboo on his shoulder, a clear sign of his purpose. The first part of the day's work is complete. The raw material has been gathered. The long journey of transformation is about to begin. An Shi arrives back at his workshop. He walks past his small home and into the open, covered area where the first stages of his work take place. He lays the heavy bundle of bamboo sections on a large, flat stone that serves as his workbench. The sound of the bamboo hitting the stone is solid and final. The air here is different from the grove. It smells of water, of stone, and of the faint underlying scent of the lime he will use later. The workshop is simple and open on three sides, allowing the air and light to move freely. A sturdy roof of thatch provides shade from the sun and shelter from the rain. He unties the rope and lets the bamboo sections spread out across the stone. They are a vibrant green, still fresh and full of life. He takes a moment to select a smaller, sharper knife from a rack of tools hanging on a wooden post. Each tool has its purpose. His task now is to split these sections open and cut them into smaller strips. This will expose the inner fibers to the processes that will follow. He picks up the first section of bamboo. It is smooth and cool to the touch. He places it on the stone and, with a practiced and precise strike from a wooden mallet against the back of his knife, he splits it cleanly in half, lengthwise. The hollow interior of the bamboo is revealed. It is a lighter, almost white color, with a fine, fibrous texture. He then lays the split halves flat and begins to cut them into thin strips. The knife moves quickly and surely. His hands are a blur of controlled motion. Each strip is roughly the same width. This consistency is important for ensuring that all the material is processed evenly. The sound of the work fills the workshop. The sharp rap of the mallet splitting the sections. The crisp, slicing sound of the knife cutting the strips. It is a rhythmic, percussive music, the music of his craft. He works steadily, his focus absolute. He is not thinking about the paper he will make. He is thinking only of the bamboo in his hands. He is feeling its texture, its resistance. He is observing the way the fibers separate. Each piece of bamboo is slightly different. Some are harder, some are softer. He adjusts his technique for each one, applying more or less pressure, changing the angle of his blade slightly. This is the knowledge that cannot be taught from a book. It is a knowledge that lives in his hands, learned through years of repetition. A large pile of thin, green, and white strips begins to grow beside the stone. They look like long ribbons of wood. The fresh, clean scent of the bamboo is even stronger now, filling the entire workshop. As he works, he can see the river flowing just a short distance away. The morning sun glints off its surface, creating 1,000 tiny points of light. The sound of the water is a constant, soothing presence. It is the lifeblood of his work. Water will be used in every stage of the process. After some time, all the bamboo sections have been split and cut into strips. A mountain of green and white material now lies on the stone. He runs his hands through the pile, feeling the texture of the strips. They are still stiff and hard. The journey to softness has just begun. The next step is to soak the strips. He moves to a series of large earthen pits dug into the ground near his workshop. These pits are lined with clay to make them waterproof. They are filled with clean water diverted from the river. He begins to transfer the bamboo strips from the stone to one of the empty pits. He uses a large, wide basket to scoop them up and carry them over. He works with a steady, unhurried pace, back and forth, from the stone to the pit. As he fills the pit, he adds a measure of lime powder. The lime is a brilliant white against the green of the bamboo. He uses a wooden scoop to sprinkle it evenly over the strips. The lime will help to break down the tough, woody parts of the bamboo, the lignin and the pectin, and begin the process of separating the cellulose fibers. This is an ancient technique discovered long ago. The right amount of lime is crucial. Too little, and the fibers will not separate properly. Too much, and the fibers themselves can be damaged, resulting in weak paper. An Shi knows the right amount, not from measuring, but from sight, from feel, from experience. Once all the strips and the lime are in the pit, he uses a long wooden pole to push them down, ensuring they are all fully submerged in the water. Then he adds more water from a channel connected to the river, filling the pit to the brim. Small bubbles begin to rise to the surface as the lime starts its slow work. The water will gradually become cloudy. The process of decomposition, of breaking down, has started. This is not a quick process. The bamboo will need to soak in this lime water for a long time, for weeks, even months. The hard, stiff strips will slowly, day by day, become softer and more pliable. An Shi covers the pit with a heavy wooden lid. This will keep out leaves and dirt, and it will help to maintain a more even temperature. He looks at the covered pit. It is a place of quiet, slow transformation. There is nothing more for him to do here for now. He must simply let time and nature do their work. He has other pits. Of course, paper making is a continuous cycle. While this new batch begins its long soak, another batch, one that he prepared months ago, is now ready for the next stage. His work is a constant overlap of different timelines. He walks to another pit. He removes the heavy lid. The scent that rises is earthy and pungent. It is not an unpleasant smell to him. It is the smell of progress. The water inside is dark, and the bamboo strips are no longer green. They are a pale, yellowish-brown color. He reaches in with a wooden rake and pulls out a handful of the strips. He feels them between his fingers. They are no longer hard and stiff. They are soft, almost mushy. He can easily break them apart with his hands. They are ready. He has finished one task and prepared for another. The day is still young. He has cut the fresh bamboo and he has uncovered the softened bamboo. He has tended to both the beginning and the middle of the process. He cleans his tools, wiping the smaller knife and placing it back on the rack. He washes his hands in the cool water of the river channel. He looks at the row of soaking pits. They are like cocoons, holding the promise of what is to come. The sun is higher in the sky now, warming the air. The sounds of the valley are all around him. The river, the birds, the distant call of a farmer in a field. He feels a sense of deep satisfaction. The work is progressing as it should. The ancient rhythm continues. The softened bamboo strips, pulled from the soaking pit, must now be cleaned. The lime and the other impurities that have been loosened must be washed away completely. For this, An Shi turns to his greatest partner in this craft, the river. He loads the soft, brownish strips into large, sturdy baskets made of woven willow. The baskets are designed to hold the fibers while allowing water to flow through freely. He carries the first heavy basket to the edge of the river. The riverbank here is a place of smooth, water-worn stones. A small, gentle tributary flows into the main current, creating a shallow, clear pool. This is where he works. The water is not too fast, not too slow. It is perfect for washing the fibers. He wades into the cool water, the stones smoothed beneath his feet. The water comes up to his knees. He places the basket in the current, securing it between a few larger rocks so it will not be carried away. The river immediately begins its work. The clear water flows through the basket, around and through the softened bamboo strips. It begins to carry away the dark, murky liquid from the soaking pit. A cloud of brownish color flows out of the basket and is quickly diluted and swept away by the river's current. An Shi does not just leave the basket in the water. He actively works the fibers. He reaches into the basket and begins to stir and agitate the strips with his hands. He lifts them, turns them, and squeezes them, helping the clean water to penetrate deep into the material. The water is cool and refreshing. The sun is warm on his back. The sound of the river is all around him. It is a symphony of sounds. The gentle lapping of the water against the stones. The deeper murmur of the main current. The occasional splash as a fish jumps. This part of the process is peaceful and meditative. The movements are repetitive. Lift, turn, squeeze. The river sings its constant song. An Shi's mind becomes as clear as the water flowing past him. He is completely present in the moment. He feels the texture of the fibers changing in his hands. They are becoming cleaner, softer. He sees the color of the water flowing from the basket change, from dark brown to a lighter yellow, and finally to almost clear. He works through the entire basket of fibers, ensuring every strip is thoroughly washed. It takes time. Patience is the most important tool a papermaker possesses. He cannot rush the river. He must work with its pace. Once he is satisfied that the first basket is clean, he lifts it from the water. The water drains out quickly, leaving behind a mass of pale, clean fibers. He carries the heavy basket to a flat, sunny rock on the bank to let it drain further. He then returns to his workshop to retrieve the next basket of softened strips. He repeats the entire process, wading into the river, placing the basket in the current, and washing the fibers with his hands. Back and forth he goes, from the workshop to the river, until all the fibers from the soaking pit have been cleaned. The riverbank is now lined with baskets of pale, wet material glistening in the sun. He looks at the river, a silent thank you for its help. The river has taken away the impurities, the harshness of the lime, the things that are not needed. It has left behind only the pure essence of the bamboo, the cellulose fibers that will form the paper. The river is more than just a tool for him. It is a living entity. It has a spirit. He has grown up alongside it. He knows its moods, its seasons. He knows when it is high and powerful after the rains, and when it is low and gentle in the dry season. He respects its power and is grateful for its gifts. As he works, small silver fish dart around his ankles, curious about the disturbance. A dragonfly with wings like stained glass hovers for a moment over one of the baskets before zipping away. He is not an intruder here. He is part of the life of the river. The washing process is also a kind of bleaching. The sun and the running water help to lighten the color of the fibers naturally. The dark, brownish color from the pit fades to a soft, creamy white. This natural bleaching is gentle on the fibers, unlike harsher methods. He takes a small handful of the washed fibers and holds them up to the light. They are soft and delicate. It is hard to believe that these came from the hard, green bamboo he cut this morning. The transformation is profound. He spends a long time at the river, ensuring the cleaning is perfect. Any remaining lime would make the final paper brittle and weak. Any dirt or debris would create flaws in the sheet. The purity of the final product depends on the thoroughness of this stage. When he is finally satisfied, he begins to carry the baskets of clean fibers back to the workshop. They are still heavy with water, but they are lighter than before. He places them in a shaded area of his workshop, allowing them to continue to drain. His time at the river is done for today. He wades out of the water and sits for a moment on a warm, sun-dried stone on the bank. He watches the river flow. It is always moving, always changing, yet it is always the same river. He feels a connection between the flow of the river and the flow of his own work. Both are cycles. Both involve transformation. The water flows from the mountains to the sea, and the bamboo flows from the grove to the finished sheet of paper. The sun is nearing its highest point in the sky. The morning's work has been productive. The new bamboo is soaking, and the old bamboo has been washed and cleaned. The materials are now ready for the next, more vigorous stage of their transformation. He stands up, feeling the warmth of the stone seep away. He gives one last look at the sparkling water, the life-giving artery of his valley and his craft. Then he turns and walks back to the workshop, his mind already on the next task. The song of the river follows him, a gentle, constant hum in the background of the day. Back in the heart of the workshop, An Shi prepares for the next stage of the process, steaming. The washing in the river has cleaned the fibers, but now they must be cooked. This will further soften them and break them down, making them ready for pounding. He moves towards a large stone-lined pit in the center of the workshop floor. This is the steaming pit. Beneath it, a fire can be built in a carefully constructed chamber, allowing heat to rise and cook whatever is inside. It is a simple but effective technology, an earthen oven. First, he must prepare the fire. He goes to a neatly stacked pile of wood at the edge of the workshop. The wood is dry and well seasoned. He has gathered it over time from the forest floor. He never cuts living trees for firewood. He uses only what the forest has shed naturally. He carries an armful of wood to the fire chamber beneath the steaming pit. He carefully arranges the kindling and smaller pieces of wood, leaving space for air to circulate. Then he adds larger logs on top. He has built thousands of fires in his life. His hands move with an instinctual knowledge. He takes a flint and steel from a small pouch at his belt. With a few sharp strikes, a spark flies and catches on a piece of dry moss he has placed in the kindling. A tiny wisp of smoke rises, followed by a small, delicate flame. He blows on the flame gently, encouraging it. The flame grows stronger, licking at the kindling. Soon, the fire is burning steadily, a low, crackling sound filling the workshop. A warm, orange light flickers from the mouth of the fire chamber. While the fire grows and the pit begins to heat up, An Shi turns his attention back to the washed bamboo fibers. They are still damp, sitting in their willow baskets. He needs to prepare them for the steamer. He lays a large, coarse cloth on the ground. This cloth is made of hemp, a strong and durable material. He takes the bamboo fibers from the baskets, handful by handful, and places them in the center of the cloth. He arranges the fibers in a loose pile. Then he adds another important ingredient, the ash from his household stove. He sprinkles the fine grey wood ash all over the fibers. This ash is alkaline, like the lime used earlier. It will work with the heat and steam to continue breaking down the non-cellulose parts of the bamboo. This is another piece of ancient wisdom. Using the waste from one process to aid another. Nothing is wasted. The ash from the fire that cooks his food now helps to cook the fibers for his paper. It is a cycle of use and reuse. Once the fibers are well coated in ash, he gathers the corners of the hemp cloth and ties them together, creating a large, secure bundle. He prepares several of these bundles until all the washed fibers are wrapped and ready. He checks the steaming pit. It is hot now. He can feel the heat radiating from the stones. He looks into the pit. At the bottom, there is a layer of water. The fire below is not just heating the pit, it is boiling this water, creating a large amount of steam. A wooden rack sits above the water to keep the fiber bundles from boiling directly. With a long wooden pole that has a hook on the end, he carefully lowers the first bundle of fibers into the pit, placing it on the rack. A cloud of steam billows out as the bundle enters the hot, moist environment. He lowers the other bundles one by one, arranging them carefully in the pit to ensure the steam can circulate around all of them. Once they are all inside, he covers the pit with a very heavy, tight-fitting stone lid. This lid traps the steam inside, creating a high-pressure, high-temperature environment. Now, the heat, the steam, and the wood ash will all work together. They will cook the bamboo fibers for many hours. The work of preparing the steaming is done. An Shi now must simply tend the fire and wait. He adds more logs to the fire chamber, ensuring a steady, consistent heat. He can hear the water bubbling and steaming inside the pit. He can feel the heat through the soles of his feet as he walks near it. The workshop is filled with the sound of the crackling fire and the smell of wood smoke. It is a warm, comforting environment. He sits on a low wooden stool not far from the fire, watching the flames. This waiting is not idle time for him. It is a time for observation and for other small tasks. He might mend one of the woven baskets, or sharpen one of his tools, or he might simply sit and watch the light and shadows play across his workshop. The steaming process is another slow transformation. It is invisible, happening inside the dark, hot pit. But An Shi knows exactly what is happening. He can visualize the tough fibers softening, the unwanted materials dissolving, the pure cellulose becoming more and more refined. He thinks about the nature of fire and water, two powerful, opposing forces. Here, in his workshop, he brings them together. He uses the fire to heat the water, creating steam. He uses this combination to transform the bamboo. It is a delicate balance. He feels a deep sense of connection to the elements. The earth that formed the pit, the wood from the forest that makes the fire, the water from the river that makes the steam, and the bamboo itself, a child of the earth, water, and sun. He is a conduit, guiding these elements to create something new. Hours pass, the sun moves across the sky. The shadows in the workshop lengthen. An Shi continues to feed the fire, maintaining the constant heat. The air in the workshop becomes humid with the escaping steam. He can tell by the smell, by the sounds, and by the simple passage of time when the process is nearing completion. His senses are finely tuned to the rhythms of his craft. Finally, he decides it is enough. The fibers have cooked for long enough. He stops adding wood to the fire, letting it slowly begin to die down. The intense heat subsides. He waits for the pit to cool down enough to be opened safely. This also takes time. He cannot rush this part. A sudden change in temperature could affect the fibers. When the time is right, he uses his hooked pole to carefully lift the heavy stone lid. A huge cloud of hot, wet steam erupts from the pit, filling the workshop for a moment before dissipating. He peers inside. The hemp bundles are dark and soaked. The smell is strong and earthy. He uses the pole to lift the bundles out of the pit, one by one. They are heavy and hot. He places them on the stone floor to cool. The fire is now just glowing embers. The steaming is complete. The bamboo fibers have passed through another trial, another transformation. They have been cleaned by water and now cooked by fire. They are one step closer to becoming paper. The bundles of steamed fibers lie cooling on the workshop floor. They are warm to the touch, and a gentle steam still rises from them. The long cooking process is over, and now comes a stage of great energy and rhythm. The pounding. An Shi unties the first hemp cloth bundle. The fibers inside are now a dark, pulpy mass. They are incredibly soft, with almost no resemblance to the stiff bamboo strips they once were. The steaming has done its work, breaking them down into a much more basic form. He gathers this soft mass and carries it to another key feature of his workshop, the pounding trough. This is a large, hollowed-out stone or log, like a long mortar. Beside it rests a heavy wooden mallet, almost as tall as he is. The head of the mallet is a solid block of wood, and the handle is long and smooth. This is a tool of pure physical effort. The goal is simple: to beat the cooked fibers until they separate completely, turning the pulpy mass into a smooth, uniform slurry. It is a process that requires strength and she places the mass of cooked fibers into the trough. He takes a bucket of clean water from the river channel and pours it over the fibers. The water will help to lubricate the process and begin to create the slurry. He then takes his position beside the trough. He grips the long handle of the mallet with both hands. His feet are planted wide for balance. He takes a deep breath, and then he lifts the heavy mallet high into the air. He brings it down with a controlled, powerful strike into the mass of fibers. The sound is a deep, resonant thud. A splash of water and pulp flies into the air. He immediately lifts the mallet again, using the rebound from the first strike to help with the upward motion. Thud, splash, lift, thud, splash, lift. A steady, powerful rhythm begins to fill the workshop. It is a sound that echoes through the valley. It is the heartbeat of the paper-making process. An Shi's body moves with the rhythm. His shoulders, his back, his arms, his legs, all working in unison. It is a physically demanding task, but his body is strong and conditioned for this work. He has been doing this since he was a boy, watching his father. The rhythm is hypnotic. Thud, thud, thud. It is a sound that requires no thought. His mind is free to drift or to focus entirely on the feeling of the mallet in his hands and the changing texture of the pulp in the trough. He shifts the pulp with the head of the mallet, turning it over to ensure that every part is beaten evenly. He adds more water as needed, keeping the mixture at the right consistency. As he pounds, he can see the fibers breaking apart. The lumps and clumps are disappearing. The dark, stringy mass is slowly transforming into a lighter-colored, smoother paste. He is physically separating each tiny cellulose fiber from its neighbors. This rhythm connects him to the generations of papermakers before him. He can almost hear the echo of his father's mallet and his grandfather's. They all stood here at this same trough, performing this same rhythmic task. The sound of the pounding is a link through time. He works for a long time without stopping. There's sweat beads on his forehead. His muscles burn with the effort, but he does not falter. The rhythm carries him forward. Thud, 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 like a steady drumbeat. He thinks about the nature of this part of the work. The previous stages were about slow, gentle transformation. Soaking, washing, steaming. This stage is about force. It is about breaking down what remains of the bamboo's structure through pure physical energy. It is a necessary violence. The fibers must be broken apart so they can be rejoined in a new form as a sheet of paper. It is a process of deconstruction before the act of creation. The sun is past its peak now, beginning its slow descent towards the western mountains. The light in the workshop softens. The shadows grow longer, but the rhythm of the pounding continues, unwavering. He pauses for a moment to catch his breath. He leans on the handle of the mallet, looking into the trough. The pulp is now much smoother. He reaches in and takes a small amount in his hand. He feels its texture. It is almost ready, just a little more. He drinks some water from a clay cup, then takes up his position again. The rhythm resumes. Thud, thud, thud. The sound seems to become a part of the air itself, a part of the valley. Finally, he is satisfied. He stops, resting the mallet against the side of the trough. He looks at the contents. What was once a lumpy mass of cooked bamboo is now a smooth, thick, oatmeal-like substance. A uniform pulp. He has taken the fibers to the next level of their journey. They are now completely separated, suspended in the water, ready for the next, more delicate stage. He uses a wooden scoop to transfer the pulp from the pounding trough into a large wooden bucket. He will add more water to this pulp later, in the vat, to create the final slurry for forming the sheets. He cleans the trough, washing it out with fresh water, getting it ready for the next batch. He always cleans his tools immediately after using them. It is a sign of respect for the tools and for the craft. His body is tired, but it is a good tiredness. It is the feeling of hard, productive work. He stretches his arms and back, feeling the release in his muscles. He looks around the workshop. The fire in the steaming pit has died out. The river flows silently nearby. The tools are all in their places, and in the bucket, the raw material for paper sits waiting. He has guided the bamboo through the forest, through the soaking pit, through the river, through the steamer, and through the pounding trough. Each stage has changed it, refined it. The hard, green plant is gone. In its place is this soft, pale potential. The soul of the bamboo has been released. The afternoon sun casts long, gentle shadows across the workshop floor. The energetic rhythm of the pounding has ceased, replaced now by a quieter, more focused atmosphere. An Shi moves to the part of his workshop dedicated to the most magical part of the process, forming the sheets. At the center of this area is a large, rectangular vat made of dark wood. It is sunk partially into the ground to keep it stable and at a comfortable working height. This vat is the heart of the creative process. It is where the pulp will be transformed from a simple slurry into a delicate, interlocking web of fibers. The vat is currently empty, and she begins by filling it. He uses wooden buckets to carry water from the river channel that flows through his workshop. He makes several trips, back and forth. The sound of the water sloshing in the buckets, a soft, liquid counterpoint to the earlier pounding. He fills the vat about 3/4 full with clean, clear water. The water is the medium in which the paper will be born. Its purity is essential. Any sediment or impurity in the water would become a flaw in the finished sheet. Once the vat is filled, he brings over the bucket containing the thick, concentrated pulp he just finished pounding. He scoops the pulp out and adds it to the water in the vat. He uses a long, wooden rake to stir the mixture. He moves the rake through the water in slow, deliberate patterns, back and forth, side to side, in gentle circles. He is distributing the pulp evenly throughout the water, breaking up any remaining clumps. The clear water becomes cloudy, turning a milky, off-white color. He can see the tiny, individual cellulose fibers suspended in the water, swirling and dancing with the motion of the rake. It is like a cloud trapped in a box of water. This mixture is the paper slurry. The consistency has to be just right. If it is too thick, with too much pulp, the paper will be heavy and coarse. If it is too thin, with too little pulp, the paper will be fragile and full of holes. And she does not measure. He knows the right consistency by sight, by the way the water swirls, by the way it feels against the rake. It is a knowledge born of 1,000 batches of paper. He adds a little more pulp, stirs and waters. He adds a little more water, stirs and waters again. But the slurry is not yet complete. There is one more crucial ingredient to add. He walks to a corner of the workshop where another earthen pot sits, covered with a wooden lid. He removes the lid. Inside is a thick, slimy liquid. This is a mucilage, a special sizing agent he creates by soaking and boiling the roots of the hibiscus plant. This sticky substance is vital. When added to the vat, it will help to keep the individual bamboo fibers suspended and separated in the water. Without this mucilage, the fibers would clump together and sink to the bottom of the vat too quickly. It would be impossible to form a uniform sheet. This hibiscus liquid is the secret ingredient that makes the entire process possible. It is another gift from the plant world. He takes a small wooden cup, dips it into the pot, and pours the thick, clear liquid into the vat. He then begins to stir again, this time with even more care. He needs to mix this mucilage completely and evenly throughout the slurry. The texture of the water changes. It becomes slightly thicker, smoother. The fibers now seem to float more slowly, more gracefully in the water. They are held in perfect suspension, each one separate from the others, waiting. An Shi continues to stir for some time, his movements slow and meditative. He is not just mixing ingredients, he is creating a perfect state of balance in the vat, a world in miniature where millions of tiny fibers are poised, ready to come together. He runs his hand through the water. It feels slick and smooth. He lifts his hand and watches the slurry drip from his fingers. He can see the tiny, almost invisible fibers in each drop. He nods to himself. It is ready. He places the rake back in its spot. The vat is now still. The surface of the water is like a calm, milky pond. The preparation is complete. All the hard work of harvesting, soaking, washing, steaming, and pounding has led to this moment. This vat of slurry holds all the potential of the day's labor. It is a substance that is neither solid nor liquid. It is something in between. It is the raw material of creation. He looks at the vat with a sense of quiet reverence. The process so far has been about breaking down, about deconstruction. Now, the process will shift. It will become about building up, about creation. Before he begins to form the sheets, he must prepare his mold. The paper mold is his most important and delicate tool. It consists of a rectangular wooden frame and a flexible, removable screen. The screen is a beautiful object in itself. It is made of hundreds of very thin, parallel strips of bamboo held together by threads of silk. It is fine and flexible, like a small mat. This screen is what will catch the fibers and form the sheet of paper. He inspects the screen carefully, running his fingers over its smooth surface. He checks for any breaks in the bamboo strips or the silk threads. Any imperfection in the screen will be transferred to every sheet of paper he makes. He finds it to be in perfect condition. He soaks the screen in a separate bucket of clean water. This helps to prevent the newly formed sheet of paper from sticking to it too strongly. Everything is now in place. The vat of slurry is perfectly mixed. The mold and screen are ready. The sun is lowering in the sky, its light turning a warm, golden color. The air is calm. It is the perfect time to begin the delicate dance of forming the paper. The workshop is quiet, holding its breath for the moment of creation. The moment has arrived. An Shi stands before the vat of milky slurry. His movements become even more slow, even more deliberate. This stage of the process requires the utmost concentration and a gentle, steady hand. It is more art than labor. He takes the wooden frame of his paper mold in both hands. He places the wet, flexible bamboo screen on top of it, ensuring it sits perfectly flat and secure. He then places a second wooden frame, called the decal, on top of the screen. This decal creates a raised edge, which will determine the thickness and the final shape of the paper. He holds the assembled mold, a three-part sandwich of frame, screen, and decal. He holds it firmly, one hand on each side. He takes a deep breath, calming his mind, focusing his intention. Before he dips the mold into the vat, he gives the slurry one final, gentle stir with a small paddle. This ensures the fibers are still perfectly suspended. He wants to capture them in their ideal state of distribution. Then, with a single, fluid motion, he dips the mold into the vat. He holds it at a slight angle, pushing it down into the slurry, and then leveling it out as he draws it towards himself, just beneath the surface. The milky liquid flows over the top of the screen. Then comes the most critical movement of all. In a smooth, continuous lift, he raises the mold straight up out of the vat. Water pours through the fine gaps in the bamboo screen, cascading back into the vat below. But the fibers, the tiny cellulose threads, are too large to pass through. They are caught on the surface of the screen. As the water drains away, they are left behind, crisscrossing and interlocking with each other in a random, beautiful pattern. In a matter of seconds, a fragile, wet, translucent film has formed on the screen. A new sheet of paper has been born. An Shi holds the mold steady, allowing the excess water to drip off. He gives the frame a gentle side-to-side and back-and-forth shake. This small, subtle motion helps to settle the fibers, locking them together more tightly and creating a more uniform, even sheet. This is the skill of the papermaker, knowing just how much to shake, how to feel the fibers settling into place. He watches the sheet form. He can see the water draining away, the surface changing from a glossy wetness to a duller, matte finish. The sheet is still incredibly fragile, little more than a wet web, but it is a complete sheet. He carefully lifts off the top frame, the decal, and sets it aside. This reveals the clean, sharp edges of the new sheet of paper, a perfect, wet rectangle lying on the bamboo screen. He looks at it closely. He is checking for imperfections. Are there any lumps? Any thin spots? Any foreign particles? This first sheet looks good. It is even and clean. A feeling of quiet satisfaction passes through him. Now he must transfer this delicate, wet sheet from the screen to a waiting stack. This process is called couching, and it is as delicate as forming the sheet itself. Beside the vat is a low wooden board. On this board is a piece of damp felt. This is the beginning of what will become a large stack of new paper, with each sheet separated by a piece of felt. An Shi carries the mold, with the screen and the wet paper on it, over to this board. He positions himself carefully. Then, in a movement that is both swift and gentle, he flips the mold over. He presses the screen, with the paper now underneath it, firmly onto the stack. He applies even pressure across the back of the screen with his hands. He is encouraging the wet sheet of paper to release from the screen and adhere to the felt below. This must be done with confidence. Any hesitation would ruin the sheet. Then he lifts one edge of the flexible screen and peels it back slowly and carefully. The wet sheet of paper remains behind, lying perfectly flat on the stack. It has been successfully transferred. The bamboo screen is now empty. He dips it back into the bucket of clean water to wash off any stray fibers, getting it ready for the next sheet. He returns to the vat. He reassembles the mold, placing the clean, wet screen and the decal back onto the main frame. He gives the slurry another gentle stir, and he repeats the entire process. Dip, scoop, lift, the water drains, the fibers lock, a gentle shake, the decal is removed. He carries the mold to the stack. Flip, press, peel, Another sheet of paper is added to the growing pile. He falls into a deep, meditative rhythm. Each movement flows into the next. There is no wasted motion, no hesitation. It is a dance he has performed countless times. Dip, lift, shake, couch. The workshop is quiet except for the sound of the water, the slosh of the mold in the vat, the cascade of water draining from the screen, the soft pat as he presses the sheet onto the stack. The stack of paper grows taller, sheet by sheet. A wet sheet of paper, a piece of felt, another wet sheet, another piece of felt. This stack is called a post. He works with unwavering focus. The light in the workshop is fading as the sun sinks lower. He works by the soft, ambient light of the late afternoon. His senses are heightened. He is not just seeing the paper form, he is feeling it. He can feel the weight of the water, the texture of the fibers. The moment they lock into a solid sheet, he is not just a worker making a product. He is a participant in a miracle. He is taking a chaotic suspension of fibers and, with a few simple, graceful movements, he is bringing order and form to it. He is creating something useful and beautiful out of the humble bamboo. He continues this work until the stack is high, or until the slurry in the vat becomes too thin. For today, he will make one post of paper, a good day's work. When he has made the last sheet, he stands back and looks at the tall, wet stack. It represents hours of labor, from the forest to the workshop. It is a monument to the day's effort. The most delicate and creative part of the work is now done. The sheets have been formed, but they are still mostly water. The next stages will be about removing that water slowly and carefully to reveal the strong, dry paper within. The tall stack of newly formed paper sheets, the post, sits on the wooden board. It is a layered construction of wet paper and felt, heavy with water. Before the sheets can be dried, as much of this water as possible must be removed through pressing, and she carefully places another wooden board on top of the stack. This creates a sandwich. Board, paper, and felt. Board. He then prepares the press. The press is a large, simple machine made of heavy timbers. It consists of a solid, flat base and a thick, heavy beam above it, connected by two strong wooden screws. By turning the screws, the beam can be lowered, applying immense, even pressure. With great effort, he slides the entire post, boards and all, into the center of the press. He positions it carefully to ensure the pressure will be distributed evenly across the entire stack. An uneven press would result in sheets that are thicker on one side than the other. Once the post is in place, he takes a long wooden lever. He fits it into a hole in the head of one of the large wooden screws. He begins to push the lever, walking in a slow circle around the press. The wooden screw begins to turn with a low, deep, groaning sound. The heavy beam above the paper stack slowly begins to lower. He moves to the other screw and does the same, lowering it an equal amount. He goes back and forth, turning each screw a little at a time. He is not applying the full pressure all at once. That would cause the water to rush out too quickly, potentially damaging the delicate structure of the newly formed sheets. This is another slow, patient process. As the pressure begins to build, water starts to trickle from the layers of felt. At first, it is just a few drips. Then, as he tightens the screws further, the drips become a steady stream. Clean, clear water runs down the sides of the stack and collects in a drainage channel cut into the floor of the workshop, which leads it back towards the river. He continues to tighten the press, little by little. The groaning of the wood is the only sound. the amount of water flowing out increases. It is amazing to see how much water was held within the paper and the felt. The pressing is essentially squeezing the entire stack like a sponge. He can feel the resistance in the lever increase as the pressure builds and the stack compresses. He uses his body weight to push the lever, his movements slow and steady. He watches the water. As long as it is flowing freely, he knows he can continue to apply more pressure. When the flow begins to slow, he knows he is reaching the limit. This process takes a considerable amount of time. He will apply pressure, weight, and then apply a little more. He is giving the water time to find its way out from the center of the stack. While the press does its work, he takes the opportunity to clean the vat and the paper molds. He drains the remaining slurry from the vat, catching the leftover fibers in a cloth. He will save these to be reused in the next batch. Nothing is wasted. He rinses the vat thoroughly with clean water, scrubbing the inside with a brush made of stiff plant fibers. He cleans the bamboo screen and the wooden frames with equal care, then sets them out to dry. His tools are his partners, and he treats them with respect. By the time he has finished cleaning, the flow of water from the press has slowed to an occasional drip. The paper has been compressed as much as it can be. The heavy beam of the press is now locked down tight. The post will remain in the press overnight. The constant, steady pressure will continue to squeeze out the last bits of accessible water. It will also compact the fibers of the paper, making the final sheets stronger and denser. And she looks at the press. Another silent transformation is taking place. Inside that compressed stack, the individual sheets of paper are becoming more defined, stronger. They are surrendering their water and gaining their permanence. The day's heavy labor is mostly done. The gathering, the cutting, the pounding, the forming, the pressing, all the stages that require great physical effort are complete. What remains is a more delicate and watchful kind of work. He walks to the edge of his workshop and looks out. The sun has now touched the tops of the western mountains. The sky is beginning to fill with the soft colors of evening. The valley is quiet. The air is cooling. He feels the pleasant ache of his muscles, the satisfaction of a day filled with meaningful work. He has followed the ancient rhythm of his craft from sunrise to sunset. He will leave the paper in the press overnight. Tomorrow morning, he will release the pressure and begin the final stage of drying. Paper making is a craft that does not fit neatly into a single day. It spans across days, weeks, and months. It is a continuous flow. He tidies up the workshop, putting away the last of his tools. He sweeps the floor with a broom made of twigs. He leaves the space clean and orderly, ready for tomorrow's work. He gives the press one last look, one final check on the tension of the screws. Everything is as it should be. The paper is safe, held under immense pressure, continuing its journey in the quiet darkness of the workshop. As the last light of day fades, he walks back to his small house. The work is done for now. It is time for rest. But the process continues, even while he sleeps. The slow, patient work of pressure and time. The next morning arrives, much like the one before, with the first grey light of dawn, and she awakens. He performs his simple morning rituals, and then he makes his way to the workshop. The air is cool and still, filled with the promise of a new day. His first task is to release the paper from the press. He fits the long wooden lever into the screws and begins to turn them in the opposite direction. The heavy beam groans as it slowly rises, releasing the immense pressure it has held all night. He slides the post out from the press, The stack is noticeably thinner and more compact than it was yesterday. The felt layers are damp, not soaking wet. The press has done its job well, removing a vast amount of water. Now begins the most delicate operation of the day, separating the individual damp sheets of paper from the felt. This is called parting. Each sheet must be peeled away carefully. They are still fragile and can easily tear. He carries the stack to a clean, flat table. He takes the top board off. He carefully lifts the first layer of felt. Underneath it lies a sheet of paper. It is no longer a translucent web. It is now opaque, a solid sheet of pale, damp paper. It holds its shape. He gently peels the sheet of paper off the felt below it. His fingers are careful, his touch light. He lifts the corner first, and then slowly pulls the entire sheet free. It is like handling a delicate piece of cloth. He holds the damp sheet up for a moment. He can see the texture, the subtle variations in the surface from the interlocking fibers. Each sheet is unique, a small universe of its own. He carries this first sheet to the drying area. This is a special part of his workshop, a large, smooth wall made of plaster and heated from behind by a system of flues from a slow-burning, smokeless charcoal fire. The wall is warm to the touch, but not hot. It provides a gentle, even heat. He takes the damp sheet and, with a single, practiced motion, he lays it flat against the warm wall. The natural moisture in the paper makes it stick to the smooth surface. He then takes a soft, wide brush and gently brushes the sheet from the center outwards. This brushing does two things. It ensures the paper is perfectly flat against the wall with no air bubbles or wrinkles, and it helps to smooth the surface of the paper, giving it a finer finish. He has now placed the first sheet on the drying wall. He returns to the stack and parts the next sheet, peeling it away from its felt separator. He carries it to the wall and places it next to the first one. He repeats this process over and over, parting a sheet, carrying it to the wall, and brushing it flat. The wall begins to fill up with the pale, rectangular shapes of the drying paper. It is a slow, methodical, and quiet task. It requires his full attention. A moment of carelessness, a snag of a finger, and a sheet can be torn, wasting all the work that went into it. He works his way through the entire stack. Peel, carry, place, brush. A rhythm establishes itself, a quiet dance between the parting table and the drying wall. As the sheets are placed on the warm wall, the final stage of their transformation begins. The gentle heat begins to evaporate the remaining water trapped between the fibers. As the paper dries, the cellulose fibers shrink and pull closer together. Hydrogen bonds form between them, locking them into a strong, stable, and permanent structure. This is the final chemical magic that turns a wet pulp into durable paper. An Shi continues his work, filling the entire surface of the drying wall. The wall looks like a mosaic of creamy white rectangles. Once all the sheets are on the wall, there is nothing to do but wait and watch. He tends to the small charcoal fire that heats the wall, ensuring it provides a constant, gentle warmth. Too much heat would dry the paper too quickly, making it brittle. Too little heat would make the process take too long and could allow mold to grow. He sits on his low stool, watching the wall. He can actually see the paper drying. The color changes subtly, from a damp, grayish white to a brighter, purer white. The eddies of the sheets, which dry first, begin to curl away from the wall slightly. This is a time of quiet observation. He is like a baker watching his bread rise, or a potter watching his pots fire in the kiln. He has done all he can. Now he must trust the process. He thinks about the long journey of these sheets of paper, from the living green bamboo in the forest, swaying in the wind, through the long soak in the lime pits, through the washing in the river, through the cooking in the steam pit, through the pounding of the mallet, through the delicate formation in the vat and the immense pressure of the press. And now, here they are, on this warm wall, finding their final form. It is a journey of profound change, a journey he has guided with his hands and his knowledge. Hours pass. The sun climbs higher in Neski. The sheets on the wall become drier and drier. He can walk up to them and touch them lightly. They feel less like damp cloth and more like paper. When a sheet is completely dry, it will release itself from the wall. Often with a soft, crackling sound, a corner will lift, and the whole sheet will peel away and float gently to the floor. And she waits for this sign. The sound of the first dry sheet detaching from the wall is a sound of completion. Finally, he hears it. A soft crackle. He looks over and sees one of the sheets has peeled away and is resting on the clean floor below. He walks over and picks it up. He holds it in his hands. It is light, yet strong. It is smooth, yet has a subtle, pleasing texture. It is a beautiful, creamy white. He holds it up to the light. It is even and consistent. A good sheet of paper. He feels a deep, quiet joy. This is the culmination of all his work. This physical object, this sheet of paper, is the result. He carefully places the finished sheet on a clean, flat table. Soon, other sheets begin to detach from the wall. He gathers them as they fall, inspecting each one before adding it to the growing pile of finished paper. The day's harvest is coming in. The sun is at its highest point in the sky, directly overhead. The morning's work is complete. The last of the paper from yesterday's batch is now drying on the warm wall. The workshop is quiet, save for the gentle crackling of the charcoal fire and the distant murmur of the river. This is the time of day when An Shi takes his rest. It is a necessary pause, a moment to replenish his energy and to step away from the focused intensity of his work. He does not see it as idle time, but as an essential part of the day's rhythm. He leaves the workshop and walks back to his small, simple house. The air is warm now, and the sounds of the valley are at their peak. The buzzing of insects, the chirping of birds, the rustle of leaves in the gentle breeze. Inside his house, it is cool and shaded. He moves to his simple cooking stove and begins to prepare his midday meal. The meal is as simple and functional as the rest of his life. He takes some rice that he cooked earlier and a selection of steamed vegetables, perhaps some greens from his small garden, or some mushrooms he gathered in the forest. He arranges them neatly in a clay bowl. He does not eat in a hurry. He takes the bowl to his low table, sits on a cushion on the floor, and eats slowly, deliberately. He savors each bite. He is mindful of the food he is eating, grateful for the nourishment it provides. He thinks about the rice, grown in a flooded paddy by a farmer down the valley. He thinks about the vegetables, grown in the earth behind his own home. He is connected to all of these things. His meal is a part of the same natural cycle as his paper making. As he eats, he looks out of his open door towards the workshop and the river beyond. He can see the white rectangles of paper on the drying wall. He watches them, observing their slow progress. This time of rest is also a time of reflection. He thinks about the batch of paper he is making. He considers its quality. Was the pulp pounded enough? Was the slurry the right consistency? Are the sheets drying evenly? His mind is always, in some small way, on his craft. It is not a burden, but a quiet, constant companion. His work is so intertwined with his life that they are one and the same. After he finishes his meal, he washes his bowl in a basin of clean water. He puts everything back in its place. His home, like his workshop, is a place of order and calm. He does not immediately return to work. The hottest part of the day is best spent in quiet. He might sit in the shade of a large tree that grows beside his house. He leans his back against its rough bark, feeling its solid, ancient presence. He closes his eyes. He does not sleep, but enters a state of quiet wakefulness. He listens to the sounds around him. He feels the breeze on his skin. He lets his thoughts come and go without holding on to any of them. It is a form of meditation, a way of emptying his mind and allowing it to rest. The constant focus required for his work needs to be balanced with these moments of release. Sometimes he will walk down to the riverbank, not to work, but simply to watch the water. He sits on a smooth stone, the same one he often rests on, and watches the endless, mesmerizing flow of the current. He sees the way the light plays on the surface of the water, the way the small eddies and whirlpools form and disappear. The river is always the same, yet it is never the same. It teaches him about constancy and about change. He thinks about the paper he makes. It will be used by other people. A scholar might use it to write a poem. An artist might use it to paint a landscape. A government official might use it to record an important document. He does not always know where his paper goes, but he feels a connection to these unknown people. He is providing them with a surface, a blank space, on which they can create, communicate, and record. His humble work in this quiet valley becomes a part of a much larger world, a part of culture, of history. This thought gives him a sense of profound purpose. He is not just making paper, he is making the foundation for ideas. The sun begins its slow descent from its peak. The heat of the day begins to lessen. The shadows start to lengthen once more. The time for rest is coming to an end. An Shi feels refreshed. His body is rested, his mind is clear. He is ready to return to his work for the remainder of the afternoon. He stands up from his spot by the river or from under the shade of the tree. He stretches his limbs. He takes one last, deep breath of the warm afternoon air. He walks back towards the workshop. He moves with a renewed sense of purpose. The pause has served its function. The rhythm of the day is ready to resume. He enters the workshop and checks on the drying wall. More sheets have detached themselves and fallen. He gathers them carefully, adding them to the growing stack of finished paper. The rest has not been an interruption to his work. It has been an integral part of it. It has allowed him to maintain his focus, his energy, and his connection to the craft he loves. The quiet moments of the day are just as important as the busy ones. As the afternoon progresses, An Shi has a different task in mind. Most of the paper from the batch has been made, but he has saved a small amount of the finest, most perfectly prepared pulp for a special purpose. He returns to the vat, which he has already cleaned. He refills it with fresh, clean water. He brings the bucket of reserved pulp. This pulp he pounded for longer than the rest, until it was exceptionally fine and smooth. He mixes a new, smaller batch of slurry in the vat. He takes extra care, ensuring the consistency is absolutely perfect. He adds a precise amount of the hibiscus root mucilage, stirring until the fibers are suspended in a state of perfect, dreamlike balance. Today, he will attempt to make the perfect sheet, the one sheet of paper that he has been striving for, the one that holds a deep, personal meaning for him. He takes out a different paper mold. This one is smaller than his usual one. The wooden frame is made from a darker, older wood. The screen is finer. The bamboo strips thinner and woven together with the finest silk thread. It was his father's favorite mold, used only for the most special paper. He handles it with a quiet reverence. He can feel the history in the smooth, worn wood. He prepares it with the same care as always, but with an added level of intention. He stands before the vat. The workshop is quiet. The late afternoon light streams in, illuminating the tiny fibers swirling in the water. He takes a deep breath, focusing all of his skill, all of his experience, into this single act. He dips the special mold into the slurry. His movements are a prayer in motion. He draws it up, watching the water drain away. He gives it the slightest, most subtle shake, feeling the fibers lock into place with an instinct born of a lifetime of practice. He lifts the alouette sheet lying on the screen, looks flawless. It is perfectly even, with no discernible imperfections. It is the beginning of what he hopes to create. He does not couch this sheet onto a stack with the others. He has a separate, special place for it. He carries it to a perfectly smooth, polished slab of stone that has been warming in the sun. He presses the screen onto the stone, transfers the delicate sheet, and peels the screen away with a surgeon's care. The single, wet sheet lies on the warm stone, a pale rectangle of pure potential. He does not place this sheet on the heated wall. That method is efficient, but for this special sheet, he prefers a slower, more natural drying process. The warm stone will provide a very gentle heat from below, and the air of the workshop will dry it from above. He sits near the stone, watching it. He is protecting it, guarding it through its final transformation. He will not leave its side until it is dry. He thinks about why this sheet is so important to him. He thinks about his father. When his father was old, and his hands were no longer steady enough to make paper, he sat with An Shi and told him about the pursuit of the perfect sheet. His father told him that papermaking is not just about producing something useful, it is about striving for an ideal. A sheet of paper that is perfectly smooth, perfectly white, perfectly strong, yet perfectly light. A sheet that feels like solidified moonlight in your hands. His father passed away before he ever felt he had made such a sheet, and he left An Shi with that quest, that quiet, personal goal. It is not about making paper to sell for a higher price. It is a tribute to his father's memory and a personal challenge to honor the craft in its highest form. It is also for a promise he made to his wife, who passed away many years ago. She was a gifted painter. He promised her he would one day make a sheet of paper so perfect that her brush would feel like it was gliding on silk, a surface worthy of the beauty she created. He never got the chance to give it to her. So now he makes this sheet for them, for the memory of his father's teaching, and for the memory of his wife's art. This single sheet of paper is a vessel for his love, his memory, and his dedication. He watches as the water slowly evaporates from the sheet on the stone. He can see the fibers pulling together, the color lightening. The process is much slower than on the heated wall, taking hours. He does not touch it. He does not rush it. He simply watches and waits. The world outside the workshop continues its rhythm. The sun sinks lower, the shadows grow long. The evening birds begin to sing. He feels a deep sense of peace in this patient vigil. It is the culmination of his art. All the other paper he makes is his work. This sheet is his soul. Finally, as dusk begins to settle over the valley, the sheet is dry. Its edges have lifted from the stone. He approaches it with a gentle reverence. He picks it up. It is lighter than he could have imagined. He holds it in both hands. The surface is incredibly smooth, with a soft, subtle luster. He holds it up to the fading light. It is flawless. A quiet, profound feeling of accomplishment washes over him. He does not know if it is the perfect sheet his father dreamed of. Perfection is an elusive idea, but it is the best he has ever made. It is the closest he has ever come. He feels he has fulfilled his promise. He has honored his father. He has created something worthy of his wife's memory. He carefully carries the single, perfect sheet back to his house. He will not stack it with the others. He will store it safely in a special wooden box, a treasure born of bamboo, water, fire, and a lifetime of devotion. The work of the day and of a lifetime feels complete. The sun has disappeared behind the western mountains. The sky is now a canvas of deep purple and soft orange. The day's work is finished. The workshop, which was filled with the sounds of labor just hours ago, is now falling silent. An Shi stands in the middle of this quiet space. The tools are all clean and in their places. The vat is empty and dry. The press stands open and waiting. The charcoal fire for the drying wall has been extinguished, and the wall itself is now cool to the touch. All the finished paper, except for the one special sheet, has been gathered from the floor and neatly stacked on a clean, dry table. It is a tall, impressive pile of creamy white sheets. A tangible result of the past 2 days of work. A feeling of deep contentment settles over him. It is the feeling of a job well done, of a cycle completed. He runs his hand over the top of the stack of paper. The surface is smooth and cool. He does not rush to leave the workshop. He lingers for a few moments, absorbing the peace of the evening. This place is as much his home as the house he sleeps in. He feels a profound connection to the simple, sturdy structure, to the worn stone and wood. He walks to the open side of the workshop and looks out at the valley. The first stars are beginning to appear in the darkening sky. A light mist is once again beginning to form over the river, a soft, white blanket settling in for the night. The sounds of the day have faded. The birds are quiet now. The insects have changed their tune to a softer evening chorus. The only constant sound is the gentle, timeless murmur of the river. He thinks about the rhythm of his life. It is a simple, predictable rhythm, tied to the rising and setting of the sun, to the changing of the seasons. Some might find such a life dull, but to An Shi, it is a source of great strength and peace. There is a beauty in the repetition. Each day is similar, yet each day is unique. Each batch of paper follows the same process, yet each sheet is slightly different. He finds endless fascination in these subtle variations. He prepares the workshop for the night. He closes the wooden shutters on the one window. He makes sure the pile of firewood is covered in case of rain. He gives everything one last look, ensuring all is in order. Then he turns and walks the short path back to his house. The air is cool on his skin. The ground is soft beneath his feet. Inside his home, he lights a single small lamp. It is a simple clay dish with a wick floating in oil. It casts a warm, flickering glow, creating soft shadows that dance on the walls. He prepares a simple evening meal, similar to his midday meal. Rice, some pickled vegetables, a cup of hot tea. He eats slowly in the quiet solitude of his home. The lamplight reflects in his tea. He watches the steam rise in gentle curls. He is surrounded by a profound and comfortable silence. He has no need for conversation, no need for distraction. His own thoughts and the quiet sounds of the night are company enough. After he has eaten and cleaned his bowl, he does not go to sleep immediately. He takes a low stool and sits just outside the door of his house. He looks up at the sky. It is a vast, dark ocean filled with a countless number of stars. The moon has not yet risen, so the stars are exceptionally bright. He can see the faint, misty band of the galaxy stretching across the heavens. He feels a sense of perspective. His own life, his work, his small valley, they are all just a tiny part of this immense, beautiful universe. This thought does not make him feel small or insignificant. It makes him feel connected to something vast and wonderful. He thinks about the bamboo, which grows by taking in the light of the sun, a star, just like the ones he sees above him. He thinks about the water in the river, which fell from the sky as rain. He sees the connections between the sky and his work, between the grand scale of the universe and the humble sheet of paper. The night deepens. The air grows cooler. The sounds of the night creatures become more pronounced. An owl hoots in the distance. The chirping of crickets is a steady, peaceful song. He feels the tiredness in his body, a deep and pleasant weariness from a day of meaningful labor. It is a tiredness that promises a sound and peaceful sleep. He sits for a long time, watching the stars, listening to the night. It is a time of quiet contemplation, a time to let the day settle and fade. Finally, he decides it is time for rest. He stands up and goes back inside his house. He extinguishes the lamp, plunging the room into a soft darkness, illuminated only by the faint starlight filtering through the paper window. He lies down on his sleeping mat. He pulls the rough blanket over him. He closes his eyes, and his last waking thought is of the feel of the finished paper in his hands. Smooth, light, and full of promise. The day is over. The morning light, soft and grey, filters through the paper window of An Shi's home. He rises with the sun, as he always does. But today, the rhythm of his work will be different. The strenuous labor of making the paper is done. Today is a day for inspection and preparation. After his simple morning routine, he walks to the workshop. He opens the shutters and lets the morning light flood in. The space is clean and orderly, just as he left it. The tall stack of finished, dry paper sits on the table, a silent testament to his work. He approaches the stack with a sense of quiet anticipation. He has already inspected each sheet as it came off the drying wall, but now he will give it a more thorough examination. He takes the first sheet from the top of the pile. He holds it with both hands, feeling its weight and texture. It is light, but has a pleasing substance. The surface is not perfectly smooth like a polished stone, but has a subtle, organic texture that is pleasing to the touch. This texture comes from the bamboo fibers and the pattern of the screen it was formed on. He holds the sheet up to the light of the open window. The light passes through it, revealing the inner structure of the paper. He can see the random, beautiful web of interlocking fibers, like a delicate frost pattern. He is looking for quality. Is the sheet a uniform thickness? Are there any dark spots from impurities, or light spots where the pulp was too thin? Are there any small holes or tears? This sheet is good. It is a fine example of his craft. He sets it aside and picks up the next one. He goes through the entire stack, sheet by sheet. His eyes are sharp, trained by years of practice. He can spot the tiniest flaw. His hands are sensitive, able to feel the slightest variation in thickness or texture. Most of the sheets are of high quality. He is pleased. The batch was a success, but occasionally he finds a sheet with a small imperfection, a tiny speck of dirt that found its way into the vat, a corner that is slightly thinner than the rest, a small wrinkle from the drying process. These sheets are not thrown away. Nothing is wasted. They are simply sorted into a separate pile. This is second-grade paper. It is still perfectly usable for practice, for rough notes, or for household uses, but he will not sell it to the scholars and artists who demand the best. He works with a quiet, focused intensity. The only sound is the soft rustle of the paper as he lifts and inspects each sheet. It is a peaceful, satisfying task. He is like a farmer sorting his harvest, selecting the best fruits for the market. He takes pride in his work and wants to ensure that only the finest examples of his craft bear his mark. The pile of first-quality paper grows. It is a beautiful sight. A stack of pure potential, of blank surfaces waiting for ink and ideas. After he has sorted the entire stack, he takes the pile of first-quality paper and prepares it for its final finishing. He uses a special tool, a smooth, heavy stone, or a piece of polished glass. He places a sheet of paper on a flat, smooth wooden block. Then he rubs the surface of the paper with the polishing stone. He moves in slow, even circles, applying a firm but gentle pressure. This process is called Kaplandieren. It burnishes the surface of the paper, making it smoother and less absorbent. A smoother surface is easier to write and paint on. It allows the brush to glide effortlessly and prevents the ink from bleeding and feathering. He burnishes both sides of every sheet. It is another slow, repetitive, and meditative task. The sound is a soft, whispering hiss as the stone moves over the paper. He can feel the texture of the paper changing under the stone, becoming more refined, more silken. He is giving the paper its final touch, preparing it for its future purpose. When he has finished burnishing every sheet, the process is truly complete. The paper is now as perfect as he can make it. He carefully stacks the finished sheets, making sure all the edges are perfectly aligned. The stack is a solid block of creamy white, a beautiful object in its own right. He will let the paper rest for a few days to acclimate to the air and to settle completely. Then he will wrap it in protective cloth and prepare it for its journey. Sometimes a merchant will travel up the valley to buy his paper directly from him. Other times, An Shi himself will make the journey to the nearest town, a walk of several days, to sell his paper at the market. He looks at the stack of finished paper, the result of many days of hard, focused work. He feels a connection to it. A part of him, his energy, his attention, his skill, is embedded in every sheet. He feels a sense of pride, but it is a quiet, humble pride. He is a craftsman, a link in a long chain of tradition. He has taken the gifts of the natural world, the bamboo and the river, and with the knowledge passed down to him, he has created something of beauty and utility. The day is still young. He has completed his main task. He might spend the rest of the day gathering more firewood, or tending to his small vegetable garden, or preparing the soaking pits for a future batch. The cycle of work never truly ends. But for now, he takes a moment to simply appreciate the finished product. He picks up a single sheet. It is so simple, so light, yet it holds the story of the forest, the river, the fire, and the patient work of his hands. It is ready for a new story to be written upon it. The day draws to a close. The tasks of sorting and burnishing the paper are done. The workshop is once again clean and quiet. She has spent the remainder of the afternoon on simpler tasks, preparing for the days to come, maintaining the rhythm of his life. He sits once more on the stool outside his small home, watching as the sun sets. The sky is a spectacle of color, a final, brilliant flourish before the arrival of night. The valley is bathed in a warm, gentle light. He holds in his hands the single, special sheet of paper he made yesterday. He did not burnish this one. He wanted to leave its natural texture, its pure, unadulterated surface, intact. It feels different from the other sheets. It feels softer, more alive. He looks at the sheet in the fading light. It represents the very best of his skill, the culmination of his knowledge. But he knows that the journey is not over. He knows that he can still learn, still improve. The pursuit of perfection is a path, not a destination. This thought does not discourage him. It inspires him. It means there is always more to discover, more to strive for. His craft is a deep well of knowledge, and he has only just begun to explore its depths, even after a lifetime of work. He thinks about the paper's journey from this quiet valley out into the wider world. A sheet of his paper might travel to the capital city, to the hands of a famous poet. It might be used to write a letter that travels 1,000 miles, carrying words of love or news of great importance. He is a part of all of these stories in a small, unseen way. He provides the beginning, the blank page. The rest of the story is written by others. He finds a deep and profound satisfaction in this role. He is the quiet foundation upon which other creations are built. The last sliver of the sun disappears behind the mountains. The colors in the sky begin to deepen and fade, giving way to the dark blue of twilight. The first stars appear, faint at first, then growing in brightness. The world becomes quieter. The air cools. The nightly chorus of the insects begins. An Shi sits in perfect stillness, a part of the evening's calm. He feels a deep sense of gratitude. Gratitude for the forest that provides the bamboo, for the river that provides the water, for the knowledge passed down to him by his father, for the strength in his body that allows him to do this work. His life is simple, but it is rich. It is filled with purpose. It is connected to the earth, to the seasons, to a tradition that stretches back through time. He would not trade it for any other. He carefully takes the special sheet of paper back inside and places it in its protective wooden box. It will be a reminder of what is possible, a benchmark for his future work. He lies down on his sleeping mat, ready for rest. The day has been a good one. He has brought another cycle of his work to completion. Tomorrow he may begin the cycle anew, walking the path to the bamboo grove under the light of a new dawn. Or perhaps tomorrow he will journey to the town, carrying his precious cargo of paper. Each day brings its own work, its own rhythm. He does not worry about the future. He lives in the present, focused on the task at hand, finding peace in the simple, profound act of creation. As he drifts off to sleep, the gentle murmur of the river is the last sound he hears. A timeless lullaby for a life lived in harmony with the world. The story of the paper is written, but the forest still whispers, and the river still flows. There are always more silent stories waiting to be told in the quiet moments we share.